Thank you very much for joining us. I think we've got a pretty good one today. We're focusing on, as you see on the screen, admin to like anything from admin to drafting, particularly with a heavy focus on sort of public sector stuff and a lot of your government employees, the sort of stuff that you guys will be up to. So this one's for you, but for anyone else, no worries. It's still very relevant. Everything in Bluebeam can be used thousands of different ways. So I'm sure you'll find a use for some of these tips, eventually, right? So that's the main focus for today. It's just sort of like a tips and tricks video. We've got roughly 18 and 19 main points that I'm going to go over. A few of them are more complicated than others, but most of the stuff I tried to pick things that, most people don't actually know about already. So there should be something new for everyone in here, regardless of your experience. Just a bit about us, obviously. So Vin0, that's us. We're slowly developing into a new business names. We've been renamed a few times, but that's, neither here nor there. So we're primarily a consulting group. So particularly at Cloud we focus on Bluebeam. So that's what I do as the technical consultant here, is delivering software and hardware solutions, consulting and training for Bluebeam, developing tool chests and other sorts of stuff, like anything you can sort of think of, templates, all sorts of stuff. So from there, just a bit about me. So, yep, I started in architecture. I'm from that background, but over the past couple of years working with Bluebeam, I've had the pleasure of working with a lot of different industries, seeing how they do things. So that's what I do now. Consistently, I'm dedicated to Bluebeam, so that's pretty much what I do day in and day out at the moment. Yeah, sweet. So cracking straight into it, this should be, short, sharp little tips and tricks throughout here. So throughout the webinar, chuck any questions that you do have in the Q&A area, and they'll just sit there ready for me, and we'll address the questions all at the end. Throughout the process though, so the main body, what we're getting after is just really quick demos of each of these points. So we've got a few to begin with, new features. Like very recently, they've actually come out with the most recent Bluebeam update. So those are pretty exciting. I'll be showing you those. And then from there, just a few items that I've picked out for these particular sort of workflows. So yeah, you'll definitely find something new in here. And from there, I'll get straight into it. I'll start going through these one by one. So yeah, any questions, drop them in and we'll get to them all at the very end. So let's hop over straight into the program. So the first one I'm showing you is a brand new one as of a few weeks ago. So that's actually the markups, labels, and how they've been improved. So in this example, we've got a flooring takeoff scenario. At the moment, these markups are measuring the floor areas. That's just using a measurement tool like this one here. For those of you that are familiar, this is a good one. We can actually add a bit more information to these labels now. So at the moment, it's telling me the square meterage of that markup. If I just change the color, you can sort of see what area that's referring to, but that markup there is 79.27 square meters. We want to actually include a bit more context into this markup. So what we're going to do is go to the properties panel. That's mine. It's on the bottom half of the screen here. Selecting that markup, we can add context into this label area. And actually, in the past, we used to be able to type, this is not new, but we used to be able to type something like timber, and that would appear on the markup there as well. Now we can actually make them more advanced by including the values from our custom columns. So for this markup, I've got a material column here and a cost columns and stuff like that. So I can include that context now inside of my label. So by typing 2 arrows, all these new options have come up. I can actually link the label to any column here. So a good one is that material. You can see that's now showing up as vinyl, and instead of me typing it in, it will actually stay updated based on that material value it's been given. So anything that you do add with these 2 arrows will always be correct as long as it's the same in that markup, so you don't need to update it ever again, pretty much. So it's quite clever in that way. The second one we can do is that cost value as well. So that cost is now linked directly in. So if I move this markup further out just to show it function, you can see the cost will actually update as well because the area has changed and it's doing that calculation. So that way it's always up to date, it always looks correct. So that's a new little thing that's been added and very, very helpful. Second new feature is actually the ability to multiply. So good example for this, if I just grab a tool that I already have, if I place a markup for a beam or place any sort of markup, I can multiply this beam in its location multiple times in sort of similar to for the Revit users out there, similar to the array function. Just delete that fake door. So what you do for that is just select the markup you want to multiply or array and right click it. The new multiply option is here. And you can then fill in those parameters. So I'm going to have it go to the right. You can change that direction to the left and see how it changes to the other direction. So I can go to the right and I can say I want them at what sort of distance we're looking for, 2 meters apart. And then increasing the number of copies, you can see how it updates live. So if I reduce it, it's highlighting where they're going to go. So I can increase those copies up and click OK when I'm done, and that'll place the markup evenly spaced across. Then I can just zoom in and move that new markup back into place and sort of voila. So that's very quick. That's an easy way to distribute things by an equal distance for the centers of columns, that sort of stuff. But it does work for anything. So even if you do have, for example, some text that you've just placed, you can center and evenly space blocks of text the same way with multiply. It's the exact same process. So yeah, you can see it works for anything in any direction. From there as well, another little tip as a part of this process is if we go back to our columns, just as a better example, selecting 3 of these. If you have a whole sequence, so rather than just left to right, you actually have like a grid square you're trying to fill out. By grouping these all together, so selecting all these columns, right-clicking group, we can then do the same thing with multiply. And if we go downwards, you can see we can do the same process, except filling out the entire grid. So there you go. It's two cool ways to use that new feature. Excuse me. Pretty handy. Just coming back, revisiting this previous one for a second. With these flooring markups, that sort of stuff, and your custom columns, obviously I've got a legend here existing. One important thing just to be aware of, that for this whole example, right, we can add that context into a new legend. To do this from start to finish, I'll make it again. Pretty simple to just select everything on this page, right click that, and then go to legend here. There it is, right, and create new. I can place that down and select this column and right click on the legend and just remove that one because I don't actually want that in there. From this, obviously, this isn't providing me any context. So just to update that, if you're using the new sort of system, just have to select that legend, go to the top under columns and edit columns. And that way we can change what we're looking at to be a bit more contextual, right? So the material that we want to see and cost, we click OK, and that'll provide us with the context we need. And this is giving us a total. So obviously the vinyl here is a certain cost. For the carpet and that sort of thing, they're totaling. So it's not just the 10 meters from this bedroom, it's totaled to both in the legend. Just a couple of things just to cap off there. So moving on, the next one, we're going to be looking at hyperlinks and intuitive drawing navigation. So looking at a bigger data set, which is this example here. This document, as I can see in this thumbnails panel, is like 45 long. It's massive. It can be a little bit hard to navigate and find what you want when you're in here. So a few tips for that. The first one is actually a sort of simple one, but if you're trying to get to a certain page, instead of flicking through and finding it, you can just click on that middle box, type in the number you're looking for. So I can select everything, type 35, 36, and it'll take me straight to page 36 as well. From there as well, if I was on a page, like if I'm on this page, I go to a different one, like 45, and I want to go back to the page I was previously on, instead of having to type it in or scroll back to find it, the previous view button here will take me straight back to where I was. That's taking me back to the view there, 28, the one I was on before. And I can select this one to go straight back. So I can flick between two pages that are really far apart sort of easily that way. Small stuff that people sometimes don't know. So from that as well, an additional way we can actually make our documents a lot more user-friendly is a Bluebeam complete feature called batch hyperlink tool. So at the top under batch and link, we can create new and then add the current file. We can do this to multiple at once for the sake of making sure it doesn't take a lot of time to load and all that for a demo. I'm just going to do it just to the one we're looking at. From there, so batch link here will create an automatic sort of system. So a quick run through how to do it. The simplest way is to do page region and select your sheet number at the bottom. Like that, sweet, so that's done. What that'll do is generate a link for all those. It'll find out what each page number is and apply it to that page. When you then click run at the bottom right, it will go through everywhere in the entire document, find anywhere that page number exists, and link it to the correct page. This is actually a really handy little tool. So once we have done that, we can use this to navigate a document much quicker. So from the beginning, page 1, at the top right, the best example, so everywhere that the sheet number is mentioned here, there's a new hyperlink attached. So you can quickly find the one you're looking for, study details, and click on that link. It'll take you straight there. Where this is more useful, especially in construction drawings, these section headers. So you come down here and normally you sort of struggle to find a certain page. So a few of these examples, you might be looking at a small detail like that H102, and you have to scroll through the panel here and find where that page is. With the new hyperlinks, you can just select that and it'll take you straight to the relevant page with the correct drawing. So that's a very handy tip just for finding and maneuvering through your document. Section headers can be an absolute pain if you don't know where it is already. So yeah, just a quick little example there. And using those two things in conjunction. So if I'm on this page, want to see that detail, I can click on that. Then I can always use the go back or the previous view button to take me to where I was working originally. Sweet, so that's that. The next one people don't normally use actually is file size reduction. So it's a cool tip. If you haven't used this before, here's where it is under document and reduce file size right here. So we'll select that one. So maybe you've used this process before, but you'll find sometimes it deletes metadata or deletes stuff that you don't want it to, if you've ever experienced that. Here's sort of how to fix it, right? So we've got at the top the current document we're working on. Selected it, so it'll run a little process on it now. But you can add and do this to multiple documents at once if you want to, so it doesn't have to just be one PDF at a time. But we'll load that one in and give it a second to load. Maybe we do this twice. But essentially what we're going to do is actually customize what it is doing. So inside of here, we can edit that section and let it load one more time, but we're going to change the properties so that it's only removing certain things. And that'll save us from accidentally deleting stuff we don't want to or whatever else. So give it a sec to let me in. Come on, man. There we go. Sweet. So we get this massive looking, confusing, weird Microsoft 2017 looking menu. We're going to just go through and analyze a few of these very quickly. So at the bottom, we're actually getting a breakdown of what our file is composed of. So you can see the grid here. Images is actually making up a massive portion of the file size. And that's one of the main things reduce file size does. It'll compress those down. Into the right, what we're looking for as well as fonts. So we can drop the embedded fonts as well. And if you don't want that to happen, if it's making your stuff look weird, you can turn that off and disable it. The next one is in here, drop metadata, drop unused resources, free xrefs. You can turn those ones off if you are deleting stuff like metadata that you need that goes missing. You can reduce that, turn those options off. So that way you can still make use of the reduced file size, especially for these images, but you're not getting rid of anything important that way. Sweet. I won't run it because it'll make my computer probably freeze up and take time to load and save and everything. So we'll just move on. On that point, next one is find and replace. So this one's a little bit of a hack through here. So let me find my little menu. There we go. Take me where I want to go. What we're going to do is in this example, you can see this massive document here. This page has a lot of these little symbols on it. I'm going to show you very quickly the basics of search. So like any PDF, if you do Control F, you have the ability to search. So at the top left in this search panel here, you've got either searching for text, you can also search for visual. The first one, just to show it working, is text. To use it as a bit of a cheat, we want to select all of these symbols here. We're going to use it by referencing that 2. So we'll search for a 2 throughout this whole page. Only the current page. You can do the document or multiple documents, but just this page for now. If I then just drop that down, scroll down to my results here, I can select them all and actually do either just a highlight and see it'll highlight everything on that document. Or we can also undo that and do a quick count. So apply a count of all those. Obviously, these ones are not relevant. And if you scroll up, you'll see a bunch in the legend that aren't really accurate either. So we can right click on those, split that count, and then just that'll separate these ones. So I can now delete them without deleting the whole count. Same with that one at the top. That's obviously not right. So I can chop that one off. And these at the bottom, grab them all, right click, split, and just delete them. Now I have a pretty darn accurate, another couple of ones over here that aren't right. Split them off. Very, very quick to chop those off and now select that markup in 99 is the total count of that symbol in this drawing using that cheeky method. Sweet. So the next part of that is actually doing a visual search. So instead of counting by that text, we can do the same thing, go to visual and grab a rectangle. I've already done it. You can see there at the top, but grab that symbol and I can search for that symbol anywhere on this page. And pretty quick, now I can select those all and do the same thing and apply a count to all of those. And same sort of result. It's grabbed all the ones that it could find. Probably chopped it off a bit early. If you let it run for longer, it would have picked up a lot more of them, but it's got quite a few. Yeah, I don't think it's missed any, maybe just that one. So pretty good, not bad for a first pass. What we want to do from that though, and the main reason we're here is to show you a bit of a quick hack for actually replacing it. So if we wanted to replace this symbol with this one here, what I'll just do is size it up, move it over the top, fill it in with a color so that it covers the one underneath it completely. And as a bit of a trick, we can go to our tool chest on the side here, right click on this new markup, or maybe you want it to be red first, so you can change it with the color replacement, change black to red. And actually we want to cover that symbol with our new one. So right click on this and add it to a tool chest symbol replace. Sweet. And turn this into a count. So right click and create count. Now we have a count tool here we can use. So this is a bit of a little hack for doing what we did before. We can actually go back to our search function, select all the results from our search, and when we apply a count to it this time, using our new symbol, you can see it'll actually place that symbol over the top. So it's a cool way to visually show that something's changed. I can visually see everywhere that symbol needs to replace the old one. So a bit of a cool, like unique little way to break the system a little bit, get a different result out of a tool into something else. Sweet. From that next one from there is actually a quick PDF table of contents or a quick PDF Excel stuff. So a lot of the time in large documents and in PDF data, stuff that you receive from other consultants, maybe some of these tables, some of this data would be more useful in a different context. So to show a quick demo of something simple first, we've got the sheet list at the front. what we're going to do is turn that into an Excel file, and then we can use that for whatever else we want down the road. So the quick demo first, file and export. We can then select Excel workbook, but then we're going to choose a page region only. So that will actually allow us to select a specific area that we want to get an Excel file from. So for anyone that needs to do quantities from someone else's drawings, any stuff like that, we can use this tool pretty quickly for that effect. So very quick, you can see it'll pop up, and now we have an Excel file with those sheet names. Not too useful. A better example we'll find in a second will sort of show us how this is more handy, and then that's in a new document here. This large structure on, you can see we've got lots of data on this when it loads. Page 1. So now we have lots more Excel things to work with. We might want to select something like the room schedule and grab that one as well. So that will work the same way. So one more time, let's run through it. Export, Excel workbook and page region. I can grab that value out now. Yep, replace it. So pretty cool. I can now use that to actually do some calculations if I want, some estimating, using those values in the Excel sort of format. So pretty cool. Sweet. The next one from there, sort of in line with the previous example with that sheet list. Another way we can do this, if the drawing doesn't have a sheet list and we want one, or we want a cover page with a bit of context, we can do that now. So the first step in the two-step process would be to create your page labels. If you've already done that, that will work as well. But straight to the source, we can do this a bit quicker in this area first. Let's get rid of those. So go to my bookmarks panel. And while we're here as well, for those of you that don't know, we can add under bookmarks structures and do construction documents. That'll add that little panel there. And it's a bit of a cheat sheet for our Australian standards and how our documents should be set out. So pretty handy to bring that up. But hey, that's neither here nor there for now. What we're doing is making a cover sheet. So the first thing to do is create those bookmarks with this option here and use the page region tool. So we're going to select first the sheet number, which grab the whole box. We're going to then do a space with a dash and another space and add another region after that with the sheet name. And leave it at that. So click OK. That will then generate, okay, our bookmarks. So that's at the bottom side here. We've got the sheet number followed by the sheet name for the whole document. The reason we do that is because now we can actually use those bookmarks to create our sheet list. Under the bookmarks drop down, export bookmarks or order bookmarks, we'll use export. Selecting index provides us with like a page number at the end as well. So it's a bit more information on the index option. And format, you can either do PDF or CSV. So for PDF first, we'll just click save. That'll make a new document and we've got basically a nice summary of the entire document. So two things we can do with that. Go to the thumbnails panel and we can just shift click to select both pages. Control C, go to the document we're working on. Same thumbnails panel at the very beginning, Control V, and it'll add that into the front two pages here. So we can use that for future reference. Or if you want something more like the following on the front cover sheet, you can, select this page, press G or go to edit and snapshot and grab a snapshot of that content. We can then just go to the front page, Control V, and paste that in anywhere we want. Shrink it down. Yeah, if there was a blank space there, now we could add our new sheet list instead. Cool, so that is those two things there. Pretty cool. Different just another unique way to sort of break the system, use the bookmarks in a way they weren't really, well, potentially in a way they weren't intended, but for our own means. Sweet. The next example, so the next one's a bit of a broad one. It's a bit of an exposure because it's a complicated topic, but a lot of people don't know it exists and it can be really useful for large projects. So that topic is, what's it called? What am I doing? Custom dashboards. Sweet, there it is. Slipped my mind. So I've done mine in the studio environment. I'm just finding where I've saved it. Here it is. It's just where I have it saved. I'll open it up now. This is a previous dashboard example I've made in the past. So just to show you what's possible, and then we can get into more detail down the road. But essentially, this is a document with hyperlinks added that lets us do various things within it. So I've got a new document. It's like a website. It's really user-friendly. I can go through, select the project plans, and it'll actually open them up straight away for me. I can click on the designer button and I can submit updates to the correct folder, or I can design changes that need to be completed. I can download those, go back home. If I'm the electrician, I can submit a work order to the correct folder. I can download plans that are relevant. I can also do my work orders, find where they are. So whatever you need, you can set up these entire sort of websites in a PDF format that lets people find what they're after very quickly. I can also do this instead of as an internal system. I can do it as a user-friendly way of sharing content with someone else. So in that same project, I open a different dashboard. I can create one like this where I can say, hey, provide this to the client. They can download the plans. They can download their warranty, their TV, their washing machine, find any variations, whatever else, and access a website if you want to as well. So how that is done, basically, the world's your oyster with it. To show you the basics of how to do this from the beginning, if you're interested. So start a new PDF and just do a landscape. Just need to add a nice background to it and find some icons from the Microsoft Store or from online somewhere, and just add a few in. So just to show a really quick introduction to it, we add a couple of different buttons we're going to make. Just a few things here, just as an example. You want to add, obviously, have a nice background, make that in Photoshop, do whatever you want, have a background from somewhere. The mechanics for making the buttons is sort of as follows. So select the markup you've got here. You can just right click on that option and then edit action. There it is, edit action. So for any markup, you can add 3 different main sort of functions. You can jump to a page in the document, or you can do a snapshot view somewhere. The bottom one we're using is the hyperlink option. So you can hyperlink to any website. For me, I'll just do maybe our YouTube channel or something, or our Cloud A2K website. If you add that hyperlink in, you can click OK, and now that little button is actually added on the bottom. To make it look how I did in the dashboard, if you right click and flatten it, it becomes flat with the link embedded, and then that'll take me straight to where I want to go. So very simple to make a dashboard. It's just a lot of work to sort of create the background and to make it look nice, but the actual mechanics, pretty simple. To show you the inner workings of this example here, you see I've got multiple pages. So all I'm doing in this page is, if I right click, if I unflatten this one, I'll be able to see the inner workings under flatten markups. Just give me one sec, unflatten. So that there, I haven't done anything. Oh well. So if I just do it again, add a new button over the top here. All I've done is right click and edited the action for this one and said, take me to page 2. And then when I click on that button, it takes me here where it's just the same background, but I've added the other buttons in here. So pretty simple. The world's your oyster with those. It's very, very customizable. There's a few things you can do. It'll take you to a website or a page. Very cool ways to sort of maneuver your way around that. Cool, done with that. do that one. Load up some of this stuff. Sweet. Halfway point. So pop back into the image here for a second and get to the second half. So we've done our first few, which is these first 8. The next page, we're going to continue with the next few points. So a few of these are, most of these are for sort of document management, headers and footers, that sort of stuff. So a few cool ones you might not be aware of, like translating markups, internal and external file sharing, and generating some forms instantly. And the first one we're going to cover is probably this one with the templates for various tasks. So creating templates and generating forms from those. We've already covered those dashboards there. So from there, back into Bluebeam, that first one being templates. What I want to do first is just a quick one with that top option, right click. I can actually do a couple of things to this just to make my screen a little bit less messy. Just close other tabs. I won't be needing those anymore. And now I'm just left with the one. Another quick one. But sweet. First thing we'll do is show you these templates. Using the ones that come stock with Bluebeam are very simple. Just go to File and New PDF from Template, and then select any of these pre-existing options. So first one would be a memorandum or maybe an RFI. We open that, we get a pretty handy just menu that we can use. Quickly create an RFI from that. To make these a bit more friendly, and maybe you have different uses for them and you want to share it with someone else to fill out, we can make these a bit more handy. So another batch tool and complete feature would be under my tools. Oh, wherever. How do I do this again? Having a mental blank. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to automatically generate a thing from it, aren't I? It'll come back to me in a second. So many buttons, it's easy to get lost. Hey, while I'm here, maybe I will start with one of the other tips first and find out that one when I get back to it. Forgot where to put it. Instead of that one, first one we'll show is the headers and footers. So a quick one that's under tools and batch here. Headers and footers there. So we can select that one and do that to this page. This will give us a little menu. We can actually add something to the top or bottom. So for us, for our government fellows out there, really handy one for the thing we have to do all the time, annoyingly, which is that official watermark. We have to add that to the top and bottom of all of our stuff. So if it's missing from something, here's a quick way to add it. Just type it in. So at the top, we change that color. This is all the font settings at the top. Type it in for footer at the bottom, official. And that will add it into the bottom there. You can do it to the left, right, but for us, we're using that center. So you can see it's sort of very faintly appearing at the top of the screen there in our preview and very faintly at the bottom. So to get this to be more custom and a bit more in depth here at the bottom, you can see it's sort of colliding with a bit of the document. So we can actually reduce that with the margins system at the bottom. So if we just increase that number or decrease it, you can sort of very faintly see it getting lower and lower. So that way we can precisely manage where it's going to go. The same for the top, you can increase or decrease the distance from the top of the screen with that. You just lower it until it's above that black line. Then we can hit bold as well and increase that font size and do any sort of customization to the text we want. So if we do that, click OK, that'll apply that to every page. Now I've got my little official mark. Oh, sorry, one sec. This markup there is just getting in the way a little bit. Yeah, so that's the official little watermark. We've added that to the top and bottom. It's a pretty handy tip, very quick to do and add that. If there's something wrong with it or you need to adjust it, it doesn't work to just redo it. It'll place another one on the top instead. It'll look wrong. So to fix it, that's under headers and footers. And next, that'll start to, like where we are now, it'll actually start to paste another one onto the top instead of sort of editing the one we want to change. So yeah, just be aware of that. It'll paste a whole new one on top. It won't edit it. So from there, get that Word document up. The next one is tips for editing tool chests. So just a quick one. This is a little handy one. I use this all the time. If you do have tool chests in the tool chest bar here, and you use these very frequently, oh, that's not handy. Get me on that works. Yeah, so a few things that work here. If we're placing them, we're using our tool and we're placing it from an item. We want to make a change to something in the tool chest. So as you can see with my layout, I have the properties panel split like this here. So if I click and drag this, I can rejoin it. And now I just have one panel open at a time. What I want to do is have my tool chest panel open and split my properties panel by clicking and dragging it and then hovering it until it's on that split lower end. Releasing it will place it there, and now I can have them both open at once. So the benefit of that is I can select any tool from my tool chest and edit the properties of it in the properties editor and then place it with a new color added. So I can change that outline color. I can change it with a fill color and then a different line style and do whatever I want to that tool. And it'll apply all those changes when I place it. Instead of having to place the markup, select it, make the edit, and then reload it back into the tool chest, that tool is now edited and will work the same way every time. So it's just a quick way. If you've got something you're doing, instead of finding another janky way to do it, you can edit them as they sort of stand in the chest area. Sweet. Next one. So stamps and markups and the apply to all pages method. So this is another way of doing what we sort of did just then. You can use it for the same principle. You can also do other stuff with it. So apply to all pages. We're going to do that for a stamp first. So if you have a stamp like for construction or any other stamp similar to these ones available in here, Bluebeam has quite a few that come stock with it. If you're applying something to every page, you can put it where you want it to be. Right click, apply to pages, and that's automatically set to all. You can do them by landscape pages and then by portrait pages if they need to be located differently. Just do it to all pages there, and that will apply that stamp to every page for us. It's a very quick and easy way to edit something on every page of the document. Yeah, that doesn't have to just be for stamps. So if you did have something that needed to change, for example, the date on every page, you can see I've done it in the past. Snapped that off, changed the date, and covered that little area. So to do that, what I've just done is go into edit and PDF content. So what I'm first going to do is edit this so it looks correct, and then I'm going to change it for every page. So I'm going to select the edit text, select that date, make it more recent, so 2023, and November 30/11/2023. I've updated the date on this page, but now I have to go through and do the same thing on every page because I've already done it before, but you can see that's wrong on this page. So what I do is snapshot that with the same tool, snapshot or G, grab that little area, and then just Control V to paste it, hover it into where it should be, right click on that, and then apply to all pages. So that way we can quickly edit the margin information, any little context that has to change for every document. So yeah, fly through, go to the next page. You can see this one's been updated and they're all the same. Cool, so 2 quick ways to do that. The same thing works if you didn't like the headers and footers method, you can do the same thing up here with the text. Change it to official, add a white sort of background, fill it in with white, and then the exact same thing. Put it where you want to apply to all pages. There you go. Got that larger mark at the top now. Sweet. Next one is sort of collaboration and markups tracking. So if we go back into this example and I just turn these layers on. So if you have a project where people are placing lots of comments, and these are all just gibberish for the sake of demo, obviously, but within this, we can change how they appear to show us what we want to see only. So that's with the markups list at the bottom and clicking the filter list option. Once we've selected that, we can filter by any column. So the first one we'll do is filter by engineer. Now you can see we've actually turned off all markups that aren't relevant. We're only showing the ones with the subject we're interested in. Do the same thing for architect, turn that on. Now we're filtering, we just want to see those. And where's the last one? If we select multiple at once, so we've got architect and I select engineer now as well, we can have two and it's still hiding some of them in the background. So you can filter this way and you can actually manage your markups and look at them all as you're interested in that sense. So if we clear that off now, another way to use this is by using the statuses tool. So what we're going to do is use a combination of that filter and the statuses to manage our project. So say I'm the lead engineer for this project. I've selected every markup everyone's made. I said right click and I will change the status of these markups to accepted. So now they're at the accepted stage in the project. Someone else can go through, maybe I'll find a few errors like this particular markup. No, I think that's wrong. So I don't want that to go to the next stage. I can change the status of that markup to rejected. And I can change this one here as well. I can change the status of that one to rejected as well. So there's two incorrect markups. For someone that's coming through and looking at them all, they don't see that yet. They just see that the project, everyone's placed a bunch of comments and, whatever else, they don't see anything relevant. I can use the filter list to combine those two features to now look at my document in a new way. So I'll filter the document by all rejected markups. Now all of a sudden I'm only drawn my attention to the ones that are rejected. I can also change it to accepted and go through. Now that they're grayed out, I won't accidentally proceed those to the next stage or anything. I'm only seeing the ones that are accepted. So that's a good way. Utilize that feature. If you're working together in the same document, even though it's a big mess, it's hard to tell what's going on. You can easily use these filters to cut to the core of the information that you're after. Sweet. So from there, we can now go to streamlined internal and external file sharing. So this is just a method. If a file or a PDF you're sharing is too big for an email, or you have to share other types of files with people that are just too big, it's hard to distribute, we can use a very simple studio project for this. So under studio panels, I have lots of existing ones. We can create a new project very quickly, start to finish, just create a new one, call this file sharing. Click OK, and that will create a new online environment for us. So that's that little area here. There's no documents uploaded yet. I can just find something very quickly. Document like an entire Revit file and drop that in. Anything as well. So it could be Revit file, it could be a PDF. You can upload multiple different things. So just this PDF as well. So after this has been uploaded, I can right click on that PDF now and share a link. I can click OK, copy that link. So really simply at the end of the day, what we get, we drag over our browser and put that link in. We actually get a download button that, you don't need Bluebeam to use this. You can share this link with anyone. They can just download it straight away. Very quick and easy way to share files. So just quickly again, just in a Bluebeam project, upload your file. Really easy, just drag and drop it into that little environment there. Right click on it and click share link. So we can either do this for the lifetime of the project or only 24 hours if we want to make sure it doesn't get around too far. You can also require a password as an added layer of protection. But anyway, from there again, click OK, copy that link, and anyone that has that link can now download that file. Super quick and easy. Anyway, from that, the very last one I've got for you in this turbo session of little tips and tricks is translating markups. So, well, it won't work. This isn't a really good example because it's just completely gibberish. So you might have to find a new different document. Where have I got one? Yeah, that's okay. We'll use this one here and we'll place a few comments in first. So just to show it work, we'll place a new remark and we'll add some text. Added text we are going to translate. So for an entire project, if you are working with people that are overseas, foreign members, different governments, different people, whatever reason, you can actually very quickly use this little tool in Bluebeam to translate markups. That's under this option here, document and translate. You select that, let it come up. Very simple, from to. So we're going to go from, or you can select automatic. They'll detect what language it's in. So if you've received a file that has different languages, you can just select auto, change it all to English, or we'll go from English and change it to something else like Italian. I speak a bit of Italian, so I'll be able to tell you how bad it or how good it is. So click OK and run it to every page. I do it for the right document. It might be running on one of the larger data sets or something. Give it a moment. There we go. Guarda un po'. Aggiunto testo che tradurre meglio. It's all right. It's all right. It's pretty good. That's actually not bad. So yeah, so that'll run through, and I think it takes that long. So it'll run through and quickly translate all of your actual markups in a document. It's even grabbed this one. So this is a little markup I added. Concetto esempio. So example concept, pretty good. And it's gone through even to the markups like these ones. Detects everything and changes what it can. So pretty cool. You can see within that, for this markup, this has a label. It's even translated that text here, but it just hasn't updated visually until I move it. So you can see that it's a little thing to be aware of. So same thing with all of these. If I go through this entire document now, because this is all markups, and I just nudge them to the left and right again, that'll make it update. Camera di letto, camera dal letto, should be camera di letto, maybe. I think so. Maybe I'm wrong and the translator's right. That's probably the case. My Italian's not that good. But yeah, pretty good overall. That's the last one. One little tip I've got. So from here, let me pop back into my friendly little setup. Blow the screen up. Sweet. So thank you very much for that. Very, very rapid session. A bunch of cool little tips and tricks you can run through and find those. Any questions that are in the chat? I think there's a couple already. So we have two. The first one, can you see a log of who has downloaded and accessed the shared files at all? So unfortunately not. That is one of the drawbacks. So within that setting here, if we did go to a file, just dug down to something, share a link to that file, we can't see anyone, like we can't see everyone who's downloaded it, which is, yeah, would be nice. Unfortunately, it's not there. Requiring a password and flattening is a good way to protect yourself. So that means that only people that know what the password is, and only people, and if it's flattened, that means that all your markups are uneditable and they won't be able to mess with it. So those are a few good ways to add that layer of protection. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't see who's downloading. Can the reporting be made available for future reference? So yes, just back here, if I go to my next sheet, this webinar and all previous webinars are available on the YouTube channel. So yeah, that's probably where you're going to get the most use out of this webinar in particular. There's a lot of little tips in there. There's a lot to unpack. Some of it was a bit quick. So going through when that webinar is made available on this YouTube channel, you'll be able to scroll through and find find the bit that was important and watch it again to see how it was done. So yeah. Any other, let me back in. Are there any other questions? I will be sticking around just to answer them, but for that has gotten us through all the topics we were after. Thank you very much for joining me. I really hope that you found something useful in there. It was quite quick, so if there's something you found and you're like, oh, I want to see that again, I can show you again now, or wait for that recording to come out and you'll be able to see it all there. So yeah, other than that, that's all I've got to show you. So thank you all very much for coming. I'll see you around. You can hit up that email address if there's any other questions in the future as well. So feel free to do that. Thanks everyone. See you all later.